La casa tenía una reja pintada con quejas y canto de amor. La noche.
So, welcome and wonderful good evening to everyone. Please welcome Zuzana and Nathan, my guests for this session. For me, it's kind of a double home but not home connection that I have with you. Susanna is living in Bratislava, which is 1 hour from Vienna, and quite often we have dancers from Bratislava in Vienna, or used to have dancers from Bratislava in Vienna, and still you never know. And it was kind of like, okay, we see each other regularly, but still it was something special that they come to Vienna. And with Nathan, that I lived once a year in Hamburg, and actually in Hamburg I started DJing. So also for a year, Hamburg was my hometown and my tango home. And now we get all together for a session of on Miguel Caló and valses today. Susanna, what was your first contact with Caló?
When you sent me this question, I was really wondering how will I answer, because I really can't remember. Because
Well,
when I started dancing, I think the milongas in Slovakia were not organized as in regular tandas or something like that. So I didn't distinguish the songs, the orchestra, nothing. And so I started to distinguish only when I started DJing, and when we started the new milonga, I was given a bunch of songs and play music. So I started to discover more. So I was really wondering to have a look into my old playlist. When was the first time when I played Caló? Back, I don't have my tandas now with me, so I don't know, but some 7, 8 years ago.
You said something very important. For me, it was similar with many other orchestras that until the moment that I started DJing, I was not aware of them, like Tanturi, Troilo. I was not recognizing them as a dancer. For me, Caló was one of the three that I recognized. There was like Pugliese, Di Sarli, and Caló. These three I started to recognize very early. And before we were talking already in the warm up that some people remind us of a particular song or orchestra. And Horacio Godoy once was invited to the Vienna Tango Festival, and he gave a workshop on not dancing on the beat. And he gave Caló as the example, and he said, "No, in this music, we step in between the beats." And that I remembered, and from that moment, I remembered Caló. Sorry, now, Nathan, what was your point?
Um, it's interesting because you answer almost the same way that I would want to answer. Except for now, I finally remember one song that stands out with Caló, which is Marion. Marion is one of the first songs I ever fell in love with, actually.
Me
And
too, me too.
I still love it to this day. It's such a wonderful and sweet song, and I play it a lot actually as a DJ. Um, so I think that is the first really conscious contact with Caló, because
With,
as with Susanna, I had the same problem. Like when I was first starting off dancing, we did not have tandas, I believe. I'm not sure if we did, but I didn't recognize if there were any at that time, because I was just dancing like, what is this? Is this milonga? Is this like everybody probably started at some point? But no, as I said, Marion is my first very much conscious contact with Caló.
Mine as well. It was.
Oh, really nice.
I was thinking about this because later I wanted to ask you about the singers with Caló.
Hmm.
But before we talk about the singers of Caló, what do you like about Caló? Do you like Caló? Is it just an average orchestra? Is it an orchestra you like in particular? And if you like it, what do you like about it?
Shall I answer? Or,
Whoever feels.
You
okay,
can start.
I'll just go ahead then. So with Caló, what I like about him is it's a very well balanced orchestra. So it does not really stick to one side, as Di Sarli or D'Arienzo does, for example, but it's more in between, and it has a very rich music. similar to why I like Troilo. It is always interesting to dance. It's never one-sided. It's never okay, now you just like have some power dancing and now you have some sweet dancing, but it's always like you have a nice alternating flow of energy, and you have lots of different moods actually in there.
Zuzana?
For me, I like Caló very much because, well, I don't say anything new, but it's melodic and it's soft, easy to dance. Usually, kind of with a feeling that you want to hug somebody. And before we were talking about how to start the milonga, and many times Caló was the one who saved me, because somehow I just remember, oh, put a Caló, and then just people started to come on the dance floor. So I like him.
We have 3 famous singers. Up to the dancers to choose what they like to follow. What do you mean, Krzysztof?
I was referring to what Nathan said, that there are different moods within the Caló music. So it's really up to the dancer whether you like to go following the beat or whether you like to follow the melody, whether you like to do it more legato or sentimental or more rhythmical.
Yeah, you have definitely many things to choose from. Dancing Caló. Thank you. So, yeah, about starting the milonga, we have the different singers. Maybe those who read the book of Michael Lavoca, Tango Stories, remember that he mentions in 1942 the recording with Beron changed, or was marked kind of the beginning of the new era in tango. And Caló hired Beron, and Beron had this very soft voice, and they were recording Al Compás del Corazón, and the recording company didn't like this voice. It was too soft for them. And then it became a hit, and Beron got famous. And also it marked the beginning that tango music slowed down a little bit in pace. So until 39, it got always a little bit more quick. Then 40 and 41, it stayed at that peak. And 42, it started to slow down again, and it was connected with Biron. And when I read it, I started also to recognize immediately Biron's voice in the recordings together with Caló, but also in the recordings together with De Mare. We will hear one valse with Biron, Raúl Biron, and you will recognize it's a very particular voice. But as Nathan said before, my first memory with Caló was also Marion, and there was Raúl Iriarte. And another famous song that I had was Percal, and Percal is with Alberto Podestà. So we have 3 different singers, and there are even more with Caló in recording in the years 41 to 45. But these are the 3 singers of tonight. What would be your favorite choice? Can you decide, or is it an impossible choice?
For me also. For me, the first choice would be Podestà, definitely. And I would say it's one of 2 of my favorite singers of tango songs. So I vote for Podestà, definitely.
I think I can second Podestà there. I'm not sure if it's because of the songs, or because of the singer. The singer is great, for sure. But it's a close fight between Biron and Podestà for me.
As a DJ, I love Iriarte because they recorded so many songs. I can always create a new tanda that I have never played before. And with Podestà, they recorded 4 tangos only, 2 in 41 and 2 in 43. And by that, you can play the 4 songs, or you can play an instrumental intro and then 3 songs of them. And so for different reasons, you can like them, different singers.
I would say it's also a question of the song itself. So if I take only the voice, then I vote for Podesta. But if I consider it as a mixture of melody and overall song together with a singer, maybe I would also go for Iriarte, because I like songs with Iriarte very much.
I mean, it's with Caló, I always have this with which singer should I play with, which singer should I play, and each milonga a different one. And if I played Podesta with Di Sarli or with Lawrence, maybe I will not play with Caló. And if I played, I rarely played the Mare Beron, I have to say, but so I would rather play Beron with Caló. Today's tanda is a vals tanda, so I chose 3 pieces. We already got a request by Krzysztof about the question of 3 or 4 songs, and we will discuss on that after I play the tanda. The concept of this tanda is a little bit, we have 2 recordings of Podesta, 2 vals recorded with Podesta, and 2 valses with Beron, and a little bit more with Iriarte. But then I thought if I mix, I take 1 of each of them. And the structure is that Jugando, Jugando for me is very inviting to dance, and Pedacito de Cielo is from the lyrics, maybe the deepest one, and Me Duele el Corazón has a very interesting rhythm at the end, a change from 3 to 2. So let me share my screen. A warm welcome to our 2 guests, Zuzana Smékalová and Nathan Leptin. And the tanda will be Jugando, Jugando, Pedacito de Cielo, and Me Duele el Corazón. The trances I use are all from tango tunes.
Y sin tiempo a pensar dimos rienda a la emoción. Tus ojitos después besaba y mimosa y feliz soñabas. Jugando nomás comenzamos los 2 y jugando llegó el amor. Jugando te encontré, jugando te besé y así nomás jugando. De pronto comprobé que cada día más me estabas tú gustando. Contigo yo aprendí a soñar, contigo yo aprendí a reír. Me siento tan dichoso que si fuera un sueño temo despertar sin ti. Jugando te escuché, jugando te miré y así nomás jugando. De pronto el corazón me dijo que por fin me estaba enamorando. Y hoy sé que te amo tanto, amor, como jamás soñé querer. Jugando todo fue y así fue que encontré tu amor. Jugando te escuché, jugando te miré y así nomás jugando. De pronto el corazón me dijo que por fin me estaba enamorando. Y hoy sé que te amo tanto, amor, como jamás soñé querer. Jugando todo fue y así fue que encontré tu amor. La casa tenía una reja pintada con quejas y canto de amor. La noche llenaba de ojeras la reja, la hiedra y el viejo balcón. Recuerdo que entonces reías si yo te leía mi verso mejor. Y ahora, capricho del tiempo, leyendo esos versos lloramos los dos. Los años de la infancia pasaron, pasaron, la reja está dormida de tanto silencio, y en aquel pedacito de cielo se quedó tu alegría y mi amor. Los años han pasado terribles, malvados, dejando una esperanza que no ha de llegar. Y recuerdo tu gesto travieso después de aquel beso robado al azar. Me duele el corazón con tal violencia, me duele que no puedo respirar. No sé qué pasará con este gran dolor, de noche no me deja descansar, pobre ay de mí.
Ay, no sé qué pasará con este gran dolor, de noche no me deja descansar.
¿Dónde están mis amigos? No los veo.
¿Dónde están mis hermanos? No los hallo.
Solito he de llorar, solito he de sufrir, solito yo me tengo que morir, pobre ay de mí.
Ay, solito he de llorar, solito he de sufrir, solito yo me tengo que morir.
Solito yo me tengo que morir, pobre ay de mí.
Ay, solito he de llorar, solito he de sufrir,
Solito yo me tengo que
Ah, what a story. While listening to it, I remembered again one of the things I really liked before I started to DJing. The Caló very often, at the end of the phrase, stops the accompaniment, and you have a space that there's a nice bridge or some embellishments, and you have these parts where you feel more rhythmical impulses from the accompaniment, and then there's a part where there's more this from all kind of instruments. What did you like about the tanda, my guests? Zuzana, you're still muted.
Sorry. I like the beginning. It's this song is very cheerful, very happy, and really inviting people to come to dance.
And it's very much what happens in tango, no? You start joking around, playing, and then suddenly you fall in love.
Yes,
And
yes,
then
it's
you
true
end
story.
up like the poor guy in the Vals Peruano that alone he has to suffer, alone he has to die.
I feel there's a personal story behind it that you will share later.
I leave to your
I certainly
imagination.
do have personal stories in the same tone. And it really feels like that too. This Jugando, it is not only the lyrics but also the music is really playful. It really invites you to play with each other, as the lyrics suggest too. So it's really, really nice to have it as this opener where you get to know each other, play a little bit with each other, fall a little bit in love with your dance partner. It's so beautiful. And then actually the Pedacito de Cielo is so the story seamlessly progresses. Well, maybe not seamlessly. There's a little bit of a gap of there's a gap, but it works. Like you keep on spinning your story, then it gets more dramatic.
Caló is a very good example of the different rhythms in vals. Sometimes we hear, okay, the rhythm vals is 1, 2, 3, but 1, 2, 3 is not the rhythm. 1, 2, 3 is just like the measure, the bar signature, and especially when we go to the let's go back to Jugando Jugando. So until now, we just heard the main theme, da 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 dum, ba da 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 dum, ba da da da, and a very simple accompaniment. Let's continue. And that was the end of the second phrase, and now it will be repeated. So we heard the variation by piano, I think, if I didn't. Yeah. And also the accompaniment now has more space to be recognized. And sometimes it's 1, 2, 3, 1. Sometimes just 2, 3. Sometimes 1. So it's playing with ta ka ta tang, kang kang kang, kang kang kang. And I love to play with these irregularities, that it's not all the time cha 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 cha, that you have a little bit in the Rodriguez valses. From might be nice sometimes at the milonga we need it, but here with Caló we have it more refined. And this was the moment when I said like daga 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 dum 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 rum, and then you have the bridge that was happening afterwards. I played again. So we could take, as you two said at the beginning, like just the melody and go with the flow, or we could play a little bit more with these rhythmical stops that are surprising, but still they're not, they stay soft. They are not like Troilo that if he wants to surprise us with syncopation, then we really feel it in our body. It's more elegant how he plays with the rhythm. Do you want to listen to a specific part, or we continue, and now we have the voice of Beron. So it's a little bit pop. It's if you compare it with the voice of Podestà,
La casa tenía una reja pintada con que.
It's la casa, da 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 da. And Beron has this very, I would call it even pop voice.
The
But he introduced
strawberry voice is what I would
strawberry.
call it. Yes.
Let's call it strawberry voice that introduced a new style or a new, yeah, that in the year 42, everything softened down. The valse is from 44 already. Beron was recording in 42 and 44 with Caló, but this new style started in 42. Let's listen a little bit to Beron.
Al vernos nomás ya reímos los dos y sin tiempo a pensar dimos rienda a la emoción. Tus ojitos después besaba y mimosa y feliz soñabas. Jugando nomás comenzamos los dos y jugando llegó el amor. Jugando te encontré, jugando te besé y así.
It's very typical for valses that we have one part that is a little bit more calm, and then the second part that is kind of like bravura for the singer because there's a lot of text. We also have it in the Biagi valses, and we also have it in the Angelis or Troilo. That is very typical for vals, yeah, tango vals. So now we have the bravura part with lots of text.
Jugando te encontré, jugando te besé y así nomás jugando. De pronto comprobé que cada día más me estabas tú gustando. Contigo.
Here was again a stronger change in the accompaniment. Let's listen to it again.
Jugando te encontré, jugando te besé y así nomás jugando. De pronto comprobé que cada día más me estabas tú gustando. Contigo yo aprendí a soñar, contigo yo aprendí a reír. Me siento tan dichoso que si fuera un sueño temo despertar sin ti.
Please, Christoph.
Yeah, when this, how we call it, staccato kind of singing comes in, I always have to resist myself, restrict myself, not try to follow it, because it's very difficult to follow the singers singing so fast in kind of a rapid fire voice. You really need to restrain yourself and try to follow the music in the background, which is kind of challenging.
Well, you could also go for some double hero variations. It depends on the partner. I mean,
very much depends on the partner
and
on the space on
the
floor.
On the space of the floor as well, yeah. But what I love about these valses is that they change. So sometimes we have this where they invite me more like to be on the spot, and sometimes then they really like a leaf on the river that sometimes is going more slow and sometimes is advancing more fast. You want to comment on something, please?
Yeah. I just had an idea when I listen to this like very thoroughly with this session, that I have a feeling that this Beron, maybe his voice is not so distinguished, or how would I say, very well known as Podesta, but it's very soft, and it's, for me, it's like a perfect icing for the cake, like completely matching for Caló's type of music. And what is important from the dancer point of view, that he doesn't disturb the flow of melody, because sometimes it happens maybe with Iriarte, with valses, that the voice is so strong and so out of rhythm that sometimes it destroys you from the flow of the melody, and you lose the rhythm of 1 2 3 1 2 3. And with this Beron, I don't feel it that way.
May I ask question? What is so bad if you lose the rhythm?
Somehow I lose my steps. Of course, it depends on the leader, but sometimes I just lose in the rhythm, and I just have to like stop and find out, is it second or third beat or what is it? So for me, this is perfect, and I don't think that I would lose a rhythm in this one.
I think sometimes, of course, I can understand what you say, For me, it was always disturbing at the beginning to dance to 50s Tarienzo Echagüe, because Echagüe starts to be more free and starts to be early, late, different than the rest of the orchestra. And now I think it's like we can also be a step in between, and we don't need to stick to this. Okay, always walk on the beat and always know, are you on the beat? Are you off? What you follow exactly? But I think if the singer is doing it a little bit, then it's also helping to be creative and to get inspired for some new improvisation. Like improvisation is happening when we do something we have not done before. So
I'm hearing a little bit of Horacio Godoy in you right now. Am I not? Am I wrong? Because I feel very, very similar ideas from him. I think for especially like for valse, I don't like to take too much freedom with a beat, because I think the valse is very much defined by the beat already. Unlike tango, where tango is more defined by the story, by what you make of it. So I do like taking freedoms in tango all the time, in order to create something interesting. But with valse, I really like just sticking to it, just flowing inside of it. So what Zuzana said with his voice not disturbing, or I don't know which word you use, but I'll just use that. With his voice not disturbing the beat, it's really nice because you can just keep gliding inside of it, right? Of course, you can also keep gliding inside of the beat with other singers, but I kind of get the idea that it can be a little bit more difficult with other singers when they have more weight inside of the music suddenly. As you said, for example, with the D'Arienzo Echagüe 50s, for example, where it's really erratic and really unusual, for example.
we will let's continue listening a little bit to Caló Beron, and then we switch to Caló Podestà. And Podestà already takes a little bit more liberty, and still I think we enjoy it. But let's. What I wanted to say is, like, here Beron is the instrument that is sticking more to the rhythm of the melody, and it's the accompaniment that is taking the liberty to go for the offbeats.
Jugando te encontré, jugando te besé, y así nomás jugando, de pronto comprobé que cada día más me estabas tú gustando. Contigo yo aprendí a soñar, contigo yo aprendí a reír. Me siento tan dichoso que si fuera un sueño temo despertar sin ti. Jugando te escuché, jugando te miré, y así nomás jugando. De pronto el corazón me dijo que por fin me estaba enamorando. Y hoy sé que te amo tanto, amor, como jamás soñé querer. Jugando todo fue y así fue que encontré tu amor.
And it continues. He's not doing the offbeat too long. It's always like for half a phrase. So if we miss it, then we get back very quickly into the normal flow. But still, if we want to use it, we could. Let's compare it to Podestà.
La casa tenía una reja pintada con quejas y canto de amor. La noche llenaba de ojeras la reja, la hiedra y el viejo balcón. Recuerdo que entonces reías si yo te leía mi verso mejor.
So it's the first part, the A part, so it's more flow. And when he starts La Casa, da 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 da, he has already the first where he retains. It's written La Casa tenía una reja da di da da, but that will be a little bit boring. So he has already La Casa tenía una reja when he starts. And the accompaniment starts quite regular. And at the end of the second phrase, we start to have more vivid accompaniment. And that is also typical for Caló, that by that the phrase is ending, but we have the more energy preparing already the next one that is coming. Let's listen to that.
La casa tenía una reja pintada con quejas y canto de amor. La noche llenaba de ojeras,
No?
la reja, la hiedra y el viejo balcón. Recuerdo que entonces reías si yo te leía mi verso mejor. Y ahora, capricho del tiempo, leyendo esos versos lloramos los dos. Los años de la infancia pasaron.
So here we have an example of this 1-2. Los años pa 1-2, 1-2, 1-2.
Los años de la infancia pasaron. La reja está dormida de tanto silencio. Y en aquel pedacito de cielo se quedó tu alegría y mi amor. Los años han pasado terribles, malvados, dejando una esperanza que no ha de llegar. Y recuerdo tu gesto travieso después de aquel beso robado al azar.
How was Podesta? Was he disturbing, deflecting?
Slightly so.
Little bit, but still it's danceable. You can still feel that beat behind, even when you have this 1-2 nothing, 1-2 nothing. You can still feel the beat 1-2-3, so you won't get out of the rhythm.
We probably all have like listened to tango music for many years, but I was just thinking like so I never this consciously listened to this song, but I was just thinking if I was a new dancer, I would be confused by this. I would be really confused by this. I'm sure, because like he has always like this little stretch at the end of the three, and also when I imagine myself dancing this right now, I don't imagine gyros. Whereas when he at the second time he sings it regularly, right? And then I do imagine myself doing gyros. So it really makes a difference.
It does, but I think that's the beauty, that the music makes a difference for our dance.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Like,
it's wonderful.
Music is not disturbing, and we can dance heroes or no heroes or whatever.
This disturbing is a very bad term for this. It's just shaking it up.
With this, he always caught my attention, and even without understanding 4 years ago in Spanish what he was saying, now that we read the lyrics and the translation, I hear it even more clearly when he talks about how he's reminded of this, and how he was reading his poetry to her, and how she was laughing. But also before, he has this elegant narrative quality that, yeah, for me, he catches me totally. And I would not say that I would follow the rhythm here. I would follow this narration very intuitively. And of course, I will also take some rhythm in a way. But for me, he's more dominant than Christoph. Please.
Sorry, I wrote to you that I love valses. To me, Podesta is really inviting to follow him, to follow the story he's telling. And I really like to dance to that waltz following the singer. And that includes all the pros and cons, including not doing heroes when he's doing 1-2, or following more on ochos, or just stepping, just walking if the space permits. And I mean, personally, I nicknamed Pedacito de Cielo Romeo and Juliet because of the lyrics and the balcony and the young age that passed away of the time, and the first kiss that was stolen from the girl. But I really like that waltz, and I really like to go along the singer.
Yeah.
What I like about this song and the part that we were playing, that his voice is distinguished and velvety and inviting to dance, and he's really almost like an instrument. And at the beginning of this song, he's always singing a melody, and then the violins are playing different melody, and then bandoneons are playing different melody, and then piano. So for me, this is a really wonderful combination, which can be heard in Caló, that this changing of instruments, changing of melodies, and Podesta has this wonderful voice to be special instrument.
Absolutely. In that sense, he was similar, like Baron, that Biaggi, for example, sometimes doubles the singer. So we hear the violins playing the same melody as the singer. But with Caló, no, the singer is taking the principal instrument and doing the melody, and the rest are doing contracantos, the violins, or the bandoneons as well, or the bridges or different parts. And I always love to play with this, and I love to suspend and then let go again. I think I love to play with that in my vals, and this music invites to it. So I always enjoyed Caló in general and Caló valses in particular. When we now go to the last vals, we will have an interesting rhythm change. I'll play directly the singer.
Me duele el corazón con tal violencia, me duele que no puedo respirar. No sé qué pasará con este gran dolor, de noche no me deja descansar, pobre y de mí.
Already here we had quite some different rhythms. So we had this me duele el corazón con tal violencia, me duele que no puedo respirar, no sé qué pasará con esto gran dolor. And first the accompaniment was
Me duele el corazón con tal violencia, me duele que no puedo respirar, no sé qué pasará con este gran dolor.
It's again this 1-2 1-2, but in different ways. The second was very dry, and the first was not so easy to reproduce. Now Iriarte is not singing alone. He has the Trovadores del Perú, and they repeat, and they have a completely different rhythm.
Ay, no sé qué pasará con este gran dolor, de noche no me deja descansar.
So the Iriarte was singing no sé qué pasará con este gran dolor, and repeated is no sé qué pasará, da 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 da, and da 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 is a vals rhythm. Da-dang, ka-dang, ka-da, da-dang, ka-dang, ka-dang is on 2. Da-dang, ka-2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we have that in Austrian folk music. I think in all kinds of the world, we have it in folk music that some pieces change from 3 to 2 and from 2 to 3 back. And it's called Vals Peruano. I don't know if all valses peruanos have that, but here we have that. When he has the B part, in this case, it's very similar from the melody. So here we don't have a big difference between A and B.
¿Dónde están mis amigos? No los veo. ¿Dónde están mis hermanos? No los hallo. Solito de llorar, solito de sufrir, solito yo me tengo que morir, pobre y de mí. Ay, solito de llorar, solito de sufrir, solito yo me tengo que morir.
So we have in the B part as well the same game that we have the val dang kadagadang kadagadang dang kadang kadang kadada and that on.
The so-called waltz Creole.
Criollo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Darienzo has a lot of valses criollos, and not all of them, or I don't know actually of any of the early valses criollos that are called like that, that have that. Here they say vals peruano, but of course it's Creole or Peruvian. It's some folk influence that got into it. Nathan, how did you like it?
I love the song. I love like it's very playful again with the rhythm changes. You can so this taram param param. It's very much like a little devil dancing, right? So usually in valse, it's soft and round, it's beautiful. So you're from Vienna, right? In Vienna, when you dance valse, it's usually at a beautiful ball house, and that's always the kind of atmosphere that valse creates. But this creates a very, very different atmosphere. It's like it has more of a milonga feeling to it, like the atmosphere that a milonga creates. It's like fun and jumpy and not so serious actually anymore, even though the lyrics are rather serious.
The lyrics remind me of Dichterliebe, of a cycle by Robert Schumann, and there's a part where it's called Ein Jüngling liebt ein Mädchen, a boy loves a girl, and the girl chose a different one, and the other one loves another one, and the girl is so sad that she marries just anyone, and the boy is even more sad because the one he loves married somebody she doesn't love even, and then it says it's an old story, but he always stays new, and to those or to the one that is occurring the story, it's like cutting his heart, and it reminds me of that. So like if we just read the lyrics, it's a little bit plain, especially compared to the second one, Pedacito del Cielo. There was Homero Exposito. It's a nice poem, and here it's more simple, but still we know it. If it's happening, and it is, yeah, then it's like this. But you say they have this different color with the music that we have to deal with life, and with this jumpy change to 2 from 1 to 3. Christoph.
Sorry, me again. I know I'm disturbing you. Just to comment on what Nathan said about the character of that waltz. In Poland, we differentiate between the waltz danced in the ballroom and something we called walczyk, which is in Spanish would be valsecito. A waltz that was danced by the lower class people somewhere on the shabby dance places on Saturdays or Sundays in a very simple way, but as you said, Nathan, in a very playful way, in a joyful way, in kind of milonga, not really paying too much attention to all the shapes and structures, just having fun, just enjoying it. The problem with that waltz is really the lyrics. When you read the lyrics, when you know the lyrics, there's a sad story behind the kind of the funny music, and that's a little bit disturbing to me.
Here in the last one, Me duele el corazón.
Yeah. Well, the title suggests that, that you are on the verge of your heart being broken totally till the end of your life.
But for me, it's a little bit giving this meaning that he or she hasn't realized at the moment that it's already almost over. It doesn't seem to me like that it happened yesterday. It happened half a year ago, maybe, or 3 months ago, and he's still. But coming back to Romeo and Juliet, I recently read it in quarantine 2 weeks ago, and you know that at the beginning of the book, Romeo is in love with another girl, and he's going to the Frère Laurent and Friar Lawrence, and asking, what should I do? She's not giving me attention. She's not replying. I forgot. Rosaline is the name. And also in Romeo and Juliet, it's like this game, and this is how it works. Like one night we are terribly obsessed. No, she's not dancing with me, or he's not dancing with me, and then we let go. And the next night we enjoy it, and we have dances with all the others, and still she's ignoring. Maybe the third night, then it happens. So it's different than jugando, but also very close to yeah.
I would like to comment that for me this Me duele corazón is kind of the example that I was trying to explain, that it's going out of the rhythm, and sometimes I had a feeling that people struggled for that song. I played it maybe 2 or 3 times in a tanda, and I had the feeling that people were struggling with that one. So that's why I don't play it very often. This one, it seems to me complicated for dancing.
You raise a very good question. What should we do if we see people struggling to dance a specific song or a specific tanda?
For me,
That's a good one.
when I had this experience, I was trying to put the song in the middle of the tanda, so not put it as a last song, so that tanda would end with something more easier to dance that people would enjoy. So if they struggle in the middle and then the ending is nice, then it doesn't matter that it was a challenge in the middle.
I did it many times. Very often I played it as second song, but tonight I played it as third because from the lyrics I thought it was a nicer development to have it as the last one and to have Pedacito de Cielo as second. But yeah, you're right. I also think if we are afraid that it might be too challenging for the crowd we're playing for, to put it in the middle, in the vals and tanda in the second, or for tango tanda maybe second or third. On the other hand, I think it's important that the people get used to the things that they hear. So if they never hear it, then they will never get used to dance these rhythmical changes.
Yeah, please, all the
Yes.
DJs, I'm talking now on behalf of dancers, don't give up challenging us.
Yes.
Yes,
Give us some
never.
challenges, play
Never.
something new, play something which is not played so often. You are probably, Zuzana, right? Don't play it at the end of the tanda so we don't get off the dancing floor shattered and unhappy, but put it somewhere in the middle. Probably don't play it as a first one in the tanda because then people are a bit afraid to step on the dance floor. But yeah, one tanda of
Definitely.
something unusual or one or two songs in the middle of the tanda, that's always a good thing, good exercise, and also an inspiration for us.
The thing is, if we were only sticking to songs people can dance all of the time, like just play for the lowest common denominator, we would only play Nuevo, right?
Yes,
we wouldn't even play classical tango.
We end up in democracy.
Yes, and yes, when I play Pugliese at milongas, they some people sometimes virtually try to protest, and you know, we love Pugliese, right? And it is difficult, but that's we want progress. We want our dancers not only to dance like polkas, milongas, and easy waltzes, but we want them to be exposed to a variety of tango music and play, like what Krzysztof said, give some challenges, especially that waltz with the Iriarte has a beautiful melody. It's really beautiful. It has a different touch, but that's what's so nice about it.
I think it's a very, very, very important topic, no? The difficulty of dancing a song. So I don't understand myself as an artist, but as an entertainer when I DJ. I do understand myself as an artist when I dance, not when I DJ. So when I DJ, I'm an entertainer, but also, so I have to cater to all of the people there in the end. And I have to see what kind of people are there and what kind of people are there. Like, are there many good dancers? Are there many like not so good dancers? Is it like a whole mix of them? So it should be a factor in DJing, but it should not dominate the DJing, because in the end, I think even if people can't dance, they take in the atmosphere of the songs anyways, right? So let's say people cannot properly dance Pugliese when they start out with dancing, but they can feel the passion, and so they can still enjoy it. And they slowly start to get accustomed to it, and then they in the end, they can maybe dance it better.
Yes. They experiment. At one point in their tango experience, they will want to experiment dancing to his music. And that's what's so beautiful, that this creativity, development, self-development.
Self-development, yeah. And researching new things too, right? So whenever I go to dance, I find something new. Like I find I learn something new about my dance partners. I learn something new about myself. I learn something new about the music. And yeah, so learning something new about the music doesn't mean I have to listen to new songs all the time, but also to old songs again and again. But also it's nice to have a new song every now and then, so you get new, fresh ideas.
Yes. One thing to deal with the fact that you saw that it was more challenging than you might have thought is then to correct the next standard, to give a more easy standard, to compensate those who were struggling, and then say, okay, now I don't know,
play some hits.
and give you a Cadli Fresedo, and you you enjoy that. Yeah, or in the middle is also good to introduce new songs. But here it's really just 8 seconds, and it's 3 or 4 times in total. 4 times, I think, when it gets repeated. So it's not so extreme, I would say. We're almost at the time. Any questions from our participants?
Yes, you promised to tell us why you are playing 3 only and not 4 in the tanda.
Thank you, Krzysztof, for reminding me of that. So we have this, Nathan just told me before we started the meeting officially that he was in Kiev, no? And that they played 4 songs in each tanda, and even one time 5 D'Arienzo waltzes.
Oh my gosh, they're all so fast. 5 of them.
But the room was full of energy. It was perfect. It was just perfect. It fitted the moment.
I personally, I prefer to dance 3 valses. And most of the times, if I hear that the DJ is putting 4, then I start to dance towards the end of the first song. So I don't start the tanda right away. What I personally do as a DJ is that, in general, I play long cortinas, but maybe before a vals tanda even longer, so that people are really like craving to start the dance with the first song. So my reason is that personally I prefer it as a dancer that 3 songs are played, but also as a DJ, we don't have so many choices. One aspect I wanted to talk about today, there's not so much time left, but maybe, it's on the one hand, it's harder to recognize an orchestra by what is a long cortina, what is short. Long cortina, longer than a minute, rather 2 minutes, and short cortina is fewer than shorter than a minute, or even shorter than half a minute, which I think is always too short. Like I would not play shorter than half a minute. I play always between 1 and 2 minutes, and so long would be rather towards 2 minutes. Thank you for the question. So to recognize the specific style of an orchestra in the valses, it's doable. So we heard, for example, here that all the instruments were quite independent. So we had a lot of contracantos, a lot of beautiful bridges, and it was playful and also a little bit rhythmic, but not very, never so full-bodied or aggressive in how the rhythm was marked, Caló. And this is also true for the valses or as for the tango. But I would say it's a little bit harder to recognize it directly on the valses, my personal experience. But Caló doesn't have so many valses. Like in the core period of 41 to 45, he recorded, I don't know, 6, 7 different ones. And so we have 2 valses with Podestá and 2 valses with Verón and a little bit more valses with Iriarte. So DJ's choice is more limited in valses. And so if we get to know, the next time a DJ plays Caló tanda valses, you will definitely recognize it, that it's Caló, because one of the three songs will be part of it. So Jugando Jugando is a very sure bet, and Pedacito de Cielo is also quite often played. Maybe Me Duele el Corazón would be the one that other DJs exchange first. But once I realized that you can, these are the Tanturi valses, these are the Lawrence valses, because we hear very often it's 3 out of 6 or 3 out of 7, and sometimes even fewer than that. Like with Castillo, Tanturi Castillo, there are 3 valses in 41, and they have approximately the same speed and same character. So either you have a more inhomogeneous standard and you go for a valse from 43, or you mix it with Campos, but they are quite different. So if you're aware of what kind of valses we have, then you will definitely recognize very easily which orchestra is playing. To sum it up, we have 2 ways to identify an orchestra: by knowing one of the songs that are from the tanda that is played. So I know, this song is Caló, so the rest of the songs will also be Caló, most probably, if it's a traditional DJ. Or that I don't know, I don't have a library at home, but I trained to distinguish the orchestra styles, and then I can say, this is the violin sound of Caló, or this is the piano sound of the embellishments of Caló, and I can recognize it by that. That's harder. The easiest thing is to know some songs, and then you say, Pedacito del Cielo, I remember, it was that story, it was Podestá, this is a Caló tanda. And as there's not so much choice, what is the other choice? We have the second song with Podestá, Bajo un cielo de estrellas. Also very typical for Caló. You've heard it many times. The other song, El Vals Soñador, with Verón. It's a little bit more Viennese style with this da-dam, da-dam, da-dam. Personally, I would not enjoy it, or I hardly ever play it, but sometimes at an afternoon milonga, I really enjoy dancing to it because it had this different atmosphere, and why not? There's one last famous song, we hear it more often by Troilo Ruiz, Flor de Lino. So here he's starting with syncopation, da 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 da, right from the beginning, and you can tell that it was recorded a little bit later. It was 46, so the difference between El Vals Soñador and Flor de Lino is quite clear, and maybe they would not fit the same tanda, I would say. Any closing comments from my invited guests?
Let's hope to dance soon instead of speaking.
Yes, hopefully we can discover the songs and some parts that we didn't notice on the dance floor.
Yeah, and thank you, Helmut, for that. Actually, like listening to the songs like this is really opening up a new perspective.
Thank you.
It's enriching, and it makes you think about the songs and the known songs that you already heard like 1,000 times, and there is still something to discover there.
Happy that you see it similarly. I was also surprised. I thought today we only have 3 songs, so we will talk about other stuff and have more songs, but also 3 songs we spent quite quickly. So thanks a lot for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Next week will be Troilo Fiorentino 42 with Sonia from Belgrade and Wolfgang from Graz. And it was a very interesting first email that I wrote to them, like if they have any suggestions, and both of them suggested immediately the tanda. And then I replied, well, I had a completely different tanda in mind. So 3 DJs, 1 year, 3 completely different tandas. And
Troilo Fiorentino is rich.
Hmm?
Troilo Fiorentino is rich.
It's rich, but still, it's 1 year. Like we didn't say Troilo Fiorentino in general. We said Troilo Fiorentino
Okay.
42, and still, it's a lot of songs. It's 14 songs or even more. But I found it interesting that everybody had some. I love them all, but that I just wanted to share for next week. Thanks.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Al vernos nomás ya reímos los dos y sin tiempo a pensar dimos rienda a la emoción. Tus ojitos después besaba y mimosa y feliz soñabas. Jugando nomás comenzamos los dos y jugando llegó el amor.